Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversation with Calvin, We the Species. Chronologically, it's a Friday afternoon, the end of October. And I just spent an hour talking to Dr. Nicole Bradford. Whoops. We met because of the connectivity of the universe, and we met online. This is funny, the second I saw Nicole's little profile and bio, and it was like, oh wow. And actually, I'm doing something I almost never do. I never interview. I didn't even tell you that, Nicole.
Okay.
I usually do a pre interview just to get acquainted. But having read so much about you, I just felt so comfortable that let's just do this, and that's what we're doing. We spent some time getting acquainted. The official title of this, and by the way, this is live from Texas, which is actually one of my favorite states. I was telling Nicole,
Yeah.
it's almost how I got married, Texas. But Dr. Nicole Bradford maintained the flames, living an audaciously authentic life. And she's absolutely delightful and fascinating and interesting in her journey. And she's going to talk all about the journey, not an easy journey. Life's not easy. But what she's accomplished is amazing. What she does is amazing. Her first book, which I have which is right there. One step is all it takes. She's finishing a second book. And we're going to talk all about that. So my monologue is officially concluded. And Nicole, I am so thrilled that you're here, and we're going to dive into a few things. If you wanted to just do a quick little bio, and we'll then jump into some really interesting questions about you and your journey.
Well, sure. And thank you so much for the opportunity to sit here and have time with you today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Well, Maintain the Flame is a company that I established in 2018. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm originally from Austin, Texas, the youngest of six kids. I came from very humble beginnings. My mother and father, they did not start off with a lot, but they did a great job overall before leaving this earth. Growing up, it was kind of tough. I lived in a dysfunctional household. I witnessed domestic violence. I had siblings that were in and out of jail during my life, siblings that were involved in drug sales, things of that nature, siblings that had children early on. And because of that environment that I grew up in, it kind of gave me the idea to create Maintain the Flame. Because when we're younger, we have this zest and this excitement for life, and we don't care who's around. We just want to live life. We want to play, and we want to enjoy the time that we have. But then when we enter into adulthood, we grow older with our siblings. We may transition into our married life with our in-laws and their expectations and the expectations of our lives and our careers. And once we transition to adulthood, that flame and that desire that we had for life starts to flicker a little bit, or it may fade at times, or depending upon who we're around, we try to suppress it. And so, what I try to do is encourage everyone to live an audaciously authentic life. You have to live for yourself, because when you're trying to fit in and meet the expectations of other people, they're not going to be happy with you. And they may change their expectations or what it is they want you to do. And so we have to move from conforming to the world to being genuinely happy and take the mask off. We go, and the mask, it depends on who we're around and what the situation is. And we're not really tapping into our childhood when we live life to the fullest. So especially in our society today with all the stress and the anxiety, we all need to just take a pause and reflect and relax and think, am I genuinely happy with the life that I've created? And if you cannot honestly answer that question with a resounding yes, then you need to take steps to build the life that you desire.
That's great. That's great. So you briefly touched on your childhood, which was tough. Um, so what do you think your mission in life is? Well, it's kind of heavy, but
Yes. Well, I've had so I've been blessed to work in some wonderful environments. I've been on the collegiate level where I started. So I've been a professor, I've been a dean of education. My last position, I was a vice president of student services. And then I transitioned into public school where I've worked from K through 12 as a special education resource teacher, an assistant principal, and a principal.
wow.
And I think the experiences that I had during that time allowed me to connect to other people and encourage and inspire them because, you know, when you're working with students, they're still trying to figure out their way in life. And so we have so many students out there that cannot have a truthful conversation with their parents because of fear of being judged, or they can't have those conversations with their parents because the parents have this set expectation. I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a lawyer because this is mainly about me and you'll make me look good to my friends. But at the same time, we're putting that undue stress on our children and they are having to suppress their desires and what they want to do with their life because they're trying so hard to please their parents. And so working with our students through that, and then also working with teachers. Our teachers are overlooked and they're burned out and they're trying to do everything that they can to work with the students and keep them encouraged. But there's so many challenges that we're facing because they're not just there to educate, but they have to deal with the demands of the society that are coming into our classrooms. And so that just gave me an opportunity to pause and say, Nicole, what are you really here for? How can you truly make a difference? And I believe that I can make a difference by using my life and my experiences as a testimony to help someone else because it's not going to be easy. You're not going to be liked all the time and you're not always going to be accepted. And in life, especially with the pressures of this world, you may tend to be in positions where people expect you to put down your integrity or lay down your morals and values just for this moment so we can fit in and we can take care of the situation. But you have to be strong and courageous enough to say, you know what, my soul is not for sale. And that's a part of the reason that I will touch upon that in my next book.
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about that. It's funny. You talk about teaching. My wife was a teacher.
Yeah.
So I lived with a teacher. I'm living with a teacher. She's retired now, but she taught elementary school in New York, 30 plus years, and then back here in New Jersey. The other thing I wanted to just bring out, at 27, when you were 27, you were one of the youngest ever doctorate of education degrees at Texas Southern University, which I think is amazing. And you were the first. I just want to say this on air. You were one of the first. You were the first African American to be Miss Austin.
Miss
I
Austin,
think
USA.
that's great. That's just, that's great stuff. And I wanted just to kind of mention that. I this is a heavy themed interview because it's heavy themed. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Well, I would say if I had an opportunity to go back and sit down and have a conversation with the younger Nicole, I would tell her early on to try your hardest not to focus on everyone around you. Because again, when I was younger, at times I struggled with, oh, well, I may not be as pretty as the other girls because I'm darker. My skin tone is a little bit darker, or my hair is so short. And I'm really, really thin and skinny. And I struggled trying to make everyone happy. I just want them to like me so much so I could fit in. And I would like to just share with my younger self, spend less time focusing on others around you. And those feelings came as I got into my junior high and high school years. Because again, when in my childhood, as I just wanted to make everyone happy. So I love life. I just wanted to play and have a great time. But I would tell Nicole to spend more time building up Nicole and doing things that truly makes me happy. Because what I've learned over time is that we are all just little kids in big bodies, because the challenges and the tribulations that we had growing up, they still come into our adulthood. And we just have to learn how to navigate those challenges so that we can create the life that we deserve.
Great answer. Wow, so fascinating, really. So you wrote a book, One Step is All It Takes. And it is the link to that is going to be on the bottom of the screen because it's on Amazon. So One Step is All It Takes. What is the book about?
Well, the book just gives you a 30-day journal just to walk with you. And it goes again towards reaching and designing the life that you deserve. And this is very important because when you enter in difficult times in your life, you tend to kind of look at all the troubles that you're facing. Maybe it's financial or your career or your marriage, whatever it is that you're facing. And you may get into a place where it's hard to get out of. For example, for me, I brought my parents to live with me in 2019 in the Prosper area. I lost my dad in 2021. He had strokes and aphasia and a feeding tube, and he passed at the age of 80. And I lost my mom just this past April. She had Parkinson's and dementia. And that was a very, very difficult time because you're caring for these two individuals that you admired all your lives, because those individuals cared for you. And now you have those pressures of being a caretaker on your shoulders. But you have to take a step back and you have to reflect on what is my why and what keeps me going. And find those moments where you can get into the Bible, you can read a Bible verse, and it can keep you encouraged and keep you moving. And there will be times in your life you can't do 10 things, you can't even do 2 or 3 big, huge steps in the right direction, but just one step. If you say this morning, I'm going to get up and go for a walk to refresh myself, or I'm going to set a goal for today that I'm going to do something different in my life. But one step is all it will take to connect yourself and to redirect you towards your goals and the aspirations you have.
My experience in life, if you take it's my experience, it's really hard to take that first step.
Yes.
But once you do, you're on the road.
That's right. Yes.
And there's an old Chinese proverb, every journey begins with the first step. That was Confucius. And I always kind of listen to that. You're working on another book. You briefly touched on it. What's the official name of the next book?
My Soul is Not for Sale.
Okay. And
Yes.
and you'll be talking about what kind of themes in that. I like that. My soul is not for sale. It's great.
Well, I'm in this book just trying to take some time and reflect on where we are in our communities and in our society as a whole. We have so many distractions out there. And it's personal distractions, politics, just every day-to-day issues that we deal with. And we can become influenced by those different issues that we have to face. But at some point in time, you have to draw a line in the sand. You have to have boundaries and say, there are some things that I'm not going to give up for money. Not all money is good money, or in opportunities. All opportunities aren't positive. So making sure that you check in with yourself and you are making decisions that you can live in, and making sure that you're committed to saying, my soul is not for sale. No matter who it is or what it is, I have to be true to myself.
That's great. That really is great. Someday you'll come back. We can talk about the soul. Yeah, we can. It's an interesting. It's an interesting. I've briefly touched on my spirituality and the soul, and it's interesting stuff. Well, actually, I'm officially inviting you to come back.
Oh, thank you.
When that book is published, we'll talk about that. I have, and I want to read that because I'm kind of interested in the soul.
Yes.
as I've been taking down my spiritual journey. Nicole, I just want to go off topic. I think you'll like this question. I didn't prepare you for it. It's no big deal. You don't even have to answer it, but it's kind of a nice question. It's my favorite question to ask. So here it goes. And you can actually come up with a couple answers, one answer, no answer, no, whatever. So here it is. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
One person?
Good, you could have a couple. There's no rules here. No rules.
Okay. I take as much time as I could get back with my mom and dad. Yes,
Right.
it was very hard being a caregiver. And of course, you go back and you replay things of what I could have done better or
I
what
know.
I should have done. And if I could have caught some of the symptoms a little bit earlier, but just 5 more minutes with them.
By the way, if I had to answer that, if I was asked that, I'd come up with the same thing. No, I don't think a day goes by in my life
Mhm.
and I don't get frustrated with myself because there were so many things I wanted to ask my mom and dad, but I was just too busy, uh, watching the Giants beat the Cowboys. I just thought I'd
Oh,
throw that in.
the Cowboys beat the Giants.
Well, yeah, but you're growing up, you're focused, and even when you're older, and
Mhm.
my parents were older, and I went down to visit them. It's like 6 months before my mom passed, but we didn't. It wasn't substantive. There were so many more things I needed to know and ask, and I didn't. And of course, growing up, I had a chance to talk to my grandmothers, and never. I was too young, and there was such a wealth of knowledge and history there. But I dwell on that literally every day, and there's spiritual elements to that, but I won't get into it now. So moving along, um, uh, when you were younger and going through the childhood that you went through, did you have a dream job back then? Did you know you would wind up where you are?
No, I actually surprisingly wanted to be a race car driver,
Wow.
a teacher, or a singer, but I definitely wanted to be a race car driver. I
Wow.
love driving fast,
Wow.
but that's a bad thing because I'm married to a Texas State Trooper, but I did want to be a race car driver.
It's funny. You said Texas State Trooper. I'm a Jersey guy, and I was telling you before he went on air. I drove down. I didn't drive. I flew to Texas and I spent 12 days with my cousin. Well,
Mhm.
3 or 4 days with my cousin, and then I wanted to explore Texas, and so I drove all around, and the state capital, Austin.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So I drove to Austin, and Sixth Street where I have all the music stuff,
Mhm.
and then I went to the Capitol building. And again, I'm a Jersey guy, so I'm not exposed to the culture of Texas. But taking an elevator up to go to the top floor of the state building,
Mhm.
there was a non uh, law enforcement person wearing a gun,
Mhm.
and I mean it was just a civilian that had a gun. And I don't see that here in New Jersey. And it's funny when I went up and I took some pictures of it because it's a beautiful building. And when I
Mhm.
came down, there was a state trooper there, and I asked him. I said, "I'm from Jersey. I'm always proud to say that." I said, "But there was somebody like carrying a gun." He explained that non-concealed
Mhm.
this or whatever. But anyway, it was interesting. Um, so I love the maintain the flame. So can you just kind of throw some strategies out that people can use who are listening to continue to maintain individual flames when life gets tough, and life is tough every day.
Oh, yes, yes. I would just say it just comes from the word maintain. So the M is just making sure that we check our mindset because our mind is very powerful. That's where we house all thoughts, both good and bad. So it can either help propel us forward or hold us back in fear. So make sure that we have the right mindset, and then be committed to taking action on all of the goals and the dreams and aspirations that you may have for your life. And remember, one step is all it takes. You don't have to have 15 steps and this is what I'm going to do, 15 strategies, just at least one step and take action. Be intentional with the life that you live. Build those strong relationships and make sure that you are pursuing those relationships that once they are in front of you. And then the next one would be in nurturing. Take time to nurture yourself. In life, we're so busy taking care of everyone else, but we really don't take the time to reflect, to meditate, to take a walk, whatever it is, to eat healthy. Those are all very important to having a long, fulfilled life. So those are just a few strategies that I cover with Maintain the Flame.
Smart. I love that, maintain the flame. It's just so powerful. I do have one more question to ask, but I must. When we first got on, I said to Nicole, I don't want to lay any guilt on you, but I did spend a chunk of the day reading all about you. So so that was my Friday, but it was well worth it. But you did have something, and by the way, you did say something that really moved me. I read it, and of all the titles you have, from doctor on down, the best title that you have is mom.
Yes.
And that really moved me because my son's 36, and he's actually living. My son and daughter-in-law and grandkids are living with us for a bit till they find a place, where they want to settle down. So it's a great thing for me, but it's the greatest feeling in the world, Nicole, when I hear that word dad. I haven't heard grandpa yet because they don't talk, the kids. So I haven't heard that. I don't know if I want to hear it. And the grandpa kind of ages me. I don't want to be aged. But you wrote this, and I love that title thing, and that's what bonded me to you. Like, as soon as I read that, I said, "Oh wow," because I love Dad. I can't hear it enough. And it's a wonderful word, mom, dad, whatever. But I love how you closed your website bio. You wrote, "Choose to be happy. You get one shot at life. Live it by your standards. Dare to be different." This is great stuff, and if more people get that stuff implanted in here, it really becomes transformative for people, and it's really great. You do keynote speaking, and you're a coach. Why would one select, and I already know the answer, and I think everybody listening to this knows the answer, but why would somebody select you? Because you're good.
Oh, thank you.
No, you really are. It's life stuff. This is stuff you sink your teeth into, and it can change you, and it's so practical. And but anyway, why would one select you?
Well, if you want someone that's energetic and authentic, but most importantly, that's going to challenge the listeners to think. And I think that's very important for us because we have to take off the mask that society gives us and stop trying to conform and truly remove the lies, the labels, and the limitations that hold us back, and be the genuine, audaciously authentic person that we've been placed here to be.
That's great. By the way, this is so it's so sink your teeth into this kind of stuff. And I'm a bit older, and I've been around the block, and I've had a chance, and I'm very gifted to have this thing functioning full throttle. But listening to you, it's so, the words are so wise and smart, and if more people jumped and took advantage of your knowledge and your common sense and your experience, because you lived it, it would make for a bunch of better lives. And I'm not just saying that. because you're here and I'm interviewing you. I'm saying it because I really believe it. And I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't believe it. But listening to your effervescence, your ebullience, in your journey, this is good stuff. And I guess this is a great way to kind of close this interview. And once again, inviting you back when the Soul book is published. Come back. We'll talk all about that. And
Okay.
actually, when we go off the air, I'll tell you something about the Soul. Not now, but just for you. But I'm so glad we met, Nicole.
Oh, yes. I
Thank
am
you.
so excited. Thank you for the opportunity.
This was great. Thank you so much. You'll come back. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'm going to stop recording. Don't leave. We'll
Okay.
chat a little bit. Thank you, Nicole.